I will only tell the truth. I will only tell the truth.
What's up, y'all? It's the fireman here, Louis Dooley. That's right, and guess what? It's Fire Friday. And check this out. I got a meal today. Man, I got a meal today that's gonna knock your socks off because it's one of the best meals that you can make. And there's 3 different ways you can make it. And guess what? Your boy, the fireman, gonna show you all 3 today. So let's jump right in. Today, what we're gonna make is fried noodles. Now you may be thinking, fried noodles? How this dude gonna fry noodles in prison? Well, there's 3 different ways. The first way is, so back in the day when I was doing time, the commissary decided that they were gonna sell like 3-quart crock pots. Yeah, crock pots. They was like $15, $20 a piece. And I was like, man, I gotta cop me one of them joints because I'm trying to whip me some meals up and I don't know what I'm gonna whip up. But now I got something in my cell that I can actually be cooking in, you know, to a certain extent. And they start selling pinto beans and other things, bagels. You put a bagel in there, put the lid on, and put a heavy book and a towel on there to keep that heat in. And it'll toast that bagel, man. It'll be nice and chewy. Throw some cream cheese on there. Yeah, that's a recipe for another day. But we just had to be creative. I don't know who came up with fried noodles, but whoever it was, man, main man is a genius. And so what you do is basically you take your crock pot, you bust the noodles up, and like I showed y'all before on some other recipes, you just slam them, right? You don't want to slam them too hard because if you do the bag of busting, guess what? You got noodles all over the place. Now, customarily, what we do is we slam them on the floor. But, you know, then they get dirty, then you open the bag, you got dirty hands, dirty noodles. So you find a tabletop and you just bust the noodles. You want to bust them as fine as you can get, right? And once you bust them, that's when you pour them in the crock pot. And so I actually have my crock pot right here where I already had some of these bad boys in here sizzling already. And so basically what you want to do is you want to take those noodles, once you crunch them up, you want to throw them in the crock pot and you want to let them sit butt naked. Just the butt naked noodles in the crock pot and you let them sit right there. I put these bad boys on about 6:30 this morning and it's about 11:30 now. So about 4-ish, almost 5 hours these bad boys sit. You get you a spoon, you kind of want to stir them around while they're dry in the crock pot and they'll start to brown. And so you want to stir them up periodically so the brown ones don't get too brown and the light ones can get brown. So once you stir them up for a while like this, and when they look like they're nice and golden brown, then you want to take a cup of water, just get some tap water, and when you pour it in here, they're going to start sizzling a little bit or frying. So I'm going to pour a little bit in here. You might be able to hear the sizzle. Let me get my mic up a little closer. You might have been able to hear a little sizzle, maybe not, but you want to pour the water in there. You don't want to like drown them in water, but you want to pour enough in there so now the noodles are going to soak some of that water up. The sizzling heat from the crock pot is going to kind of make the noodle kind of rubbery, kind of like, you know, rice, like Chinese food a little bit, not really that sticky. And you want to let that sit for a while. And while you letting that sit for a while, now it's time to start adding some of your ingredients. So I'm going to put this back over here for a minute. I'm going to plug it back in and let it get hot some more. And throw the lid back on it. And so while that's kind of cooking down, that water cooking into the noodles is gonna soften the noodles up really good. Now you wanna figure out what kind of ingredients you wanna put. And so I got some laid out here already. I got some onions. You know, I had a pack that was already diced up. Ordinarily, I'd either have a jar of minced onions that they sold in the commissary for like $1.10. And so I pour some in a bowl, put some water in there, let them kind of reconstitute themselves and kind of turn back into an onion a little bit. I throw that in there. I got some jalapeno peppers that I already diced up a little bit. I got a bell pepper. We couldn't get bell peppers, at least not legally, but I'm not in the joint no more. I'm out here on the streets. And so I kind of diced up a little bit of bell pepper. You can kind of chop them down to like however, you know, thick or chunky. If you really like a thick taste of bell pepper, then you cut them chunkier. If you don't like the taste that much and want a big chunk, then you cut them a little finer, but it's pretty much like whatever you want to do, you know, as far as the taste is concerned, and also like how many you want to add. I'm actually cutting up enough for all of the different ways. I'm gonna show y'all how to cook these noodles. And so it's pretty cool, man. You know, the process is something that you have to go through. A lot of dudes ain't good at cooking. You know what I mean? Some dudes is nasty. They don't take a shower. They ain't brushing their teeth. And it's like, I don't want to eat nothing that dude cooking because ain't no telling what that dude cleaned or didn't clean. And so there was guys that you trusted that cleaned, and there was guys that you really didn't trust. And so you find a guy, some guys it might be some dudes you cool with, and they just funky like that. They just nasty like that. You can still be cool with them. I just ain't gonna eat nothing that you cook. And so you get those diced up. So I got the jalapeno peppers. I got some onions right here. I got some bell pepper. Now you're probably thinking, well, where's the meat? If you're a vegetarian, then this is what you have. If you want to throw some other ingredients in that you have around the house, you can. I'm trying to keep this as close to prison as I possibly can, which the ingredient we're going to do today, the protein we're going to do is chicken. So check this out. They start selling boxes of fried chicken, banquet chicken. I bought a box yesterday at the grocery store. And so I already kind of took the chicken out and I warmed it up a little bit so it would get soft. So you want to take the crust off. You know, we used to take the crust off sometime and put it on a paper towel and throw it in the microwave and nuke it to death, and it'll get hard and crispy. And it's really good. This crust right here, I don't know what's up with it. It ain't that good. So you start taking the chicken off the bone. I got two big, nice chicken breasts right here. And so you take that chicken off the bone and you just pull it apart. And what I just do is, instead of like cutting it up with a knife, you know, it's chicken. You can just pull it apart. So I just pull it apart in some nice bite-sized chunks. Try to get the gristle, you know, and that stuff like that out so you don't be chewing on it and swallowing it or choking on it. So take the chicken breast, you start deboning it, getting that good white meat. I'm more of a white meat guy. Dark meat, we use it all. I just prefer white meat. And so get the chicken out of here. You want to get all the little bones and stuff out of there. So this is a pretty easy process. And again, you can see why you don't want to be messing with some dude cooking your food that's nasty and that's dirty. And actually, a lot of times dudes will get gloves, little plastic gloves out the kitchen, and you will see them whipping up like that. And it's like, oh yeah, dude right there, like I want to eat what he cooking because he taking the time to be clean, which means he's probably paying attention to other details. And you know, they say that the saying, you know, the devil's in the detail. You know, like when you're a detail-oriented person, a lot of times things come out really, really well. And so I just deboned some of this chicken. And so I'm going to check back over here to my noodles and see what's going on with them and see if I got the right consistency. Yeah, it's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull it back over here again. I got my noodles the right consistency. I'm going to go ahead and take my peppers, my bell pepper, my chicken, and I'm just gonna put it all in here, all in the crock pot. So you slam that bad boy in there like that. Now take my onions, put a little bit, again with the onions, you know, if you like a lot of onions, put a lot. If you don't like a lot, don't put a lot. So I got that in there, and then you just stir it up. Stir it up real good. Now this could suck some of the juices out, or dry the noodles out. So you might want to add a little bit more water in there. Again, you don't want to drown it. The noodles will suck up a lot of water, but you don't want the noodles to get like regular ramen when you put them in hot water and they swell up just like regular noodles. That kind of defeats the purpose of the fried noodles. And so you get this stuff in here like that, get that piece of chicken. Yeah, he don't want to play right. Okay, all right, cool. So you get it stirred up really good. And then this is what it would look like when it's in the crock pot. And so you can maybe see a little bit. It kind of looks like, you know, Chinese food a little bit. Whoever named it this, that's why they named it that. And so I'll put this back over here and I'll plug it back in again and let it sit and let it cook some more. But what I did was, you know, just like all the great cooking shows, voila, the finished product. And so now I've already done that process already. Here's what it looks like. Like, look at my consistency, right? Like the chicken's in there, the pepper's in there, nice golden brown noodles. You can see it's not all clumpy and all sticky. You know, that's the process of the crock pot to like making them fried noodles. And then when you get done with this bad boy, this when you take the pickles. Now you don't have to use pickles. As you maybe know, if you watch some of my other episodes, that I like hot pickles. I like hot stuff. I got hot jalapeno peppers. I got hot pickles. I'm gonna top it off with hot chips. So I like hot stuff. And these pickles, there's a story actually behind these pickles actually. So after one of my other episodes, a friend, Shirley, a sister in Christ, she commented, she contacted me and said, hey, I got this great pickle guy. Now she lives like in Massachusetts or something like that near Philadelphia. She said, I got this great pickle guy. Can I get you some pickles and send them to you? I was like, wow. You know, like here's a lady that I barely know. And she's saying, you know, I want to support what you're doing in the sense of, hey, try these pickles and kind of tell me what you like. And so I thought it would only make sense that when I do another show where I'm going to use hot pickles, that I use these pickles. And so these pickles are from Lancaster Pickle Company, which is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So I got this box shipped to me with these pickles. And so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take one of these big old slices out, and I've already eaten some. Man, these some good pickles right here. So shout out to Jason Ziegler, the owner of Lancaster Pickle Company. Man, you got some fire hot pickles, man. Keep on doing what you do. And so I'm gonna cut up some hot pickle. I'm gonna dice it up. I like the zestiness of pickles. They got a nice zest to them. So you add that. I probably add another piece to that. Another piece in there, but you just stir that around. So you want to put these in when they're done. If you put the hot pickles in there when it's cooking, it's going to cook all of that crunch and a lot of that zest out of the pickle. You'll still get the flavor in the noodle, but I like that crunch. I'm a texture guy. And so I like getting the crunch in my food. The peppers have already been cooked down in the crock pot, so you don't really feel the crunch of any peppers, but you can get this zest. And so I'm going to mix this around a little bit. There's another ingredient that you may find weird, honey. Love that honey, it's that sweet and that hot. So I'm gonna put a little honey on there. Yeah, like that there. Then I'm gonna go ahead and mix that bad boy up a little bit. Yeah, and then I'm gonna take one of my noodle bags. Always keep your noodle bag. It's good to pack trash in because you only got a little trash can in prison. So you want to consolidate and pack as much stuff. And then you also use these little bags because then you can crunch your chips up in there. It's just so much easier. So I'm gonna take my little noodle bag. I'm gonna pour some of these flaming hot Lays in there. And you just put as much as you want. Just if you like a lot of hot chips, crunch them bad boys up. And actually, what you don't want to do is when you make a whole pot, you don't want to put all the chips in and then have some for later, because now the chips gonna get like rubbery. They're not gonna have their texture that you like if you're a texture guy like me. So I'm actually gonna grab a bowl. I'm gonna grab a bowl and I'm gonna take some out of this bigger bowl because I'm gonna eat just a little bit. I'm gonna taste a little bit right now, but I don't want them chips getting all soggy in these noodles. So I'm gonna put a little bit in this little bowl right here. Then I'm gonna crunch these up, pour a little bit of these in here. All right. Then I'm gonna mix them up a little bit. That's fried noodles in the crock pot. But wait, I kind of sped through this a little bit because I got 2 more ways I'm gonna show you, and it ain't gonna take all day, but check this out. So let's see what this look like. Got a nice chunk of chicken. I see the chips, I see the honey glistening. Let me get a little chunk of pickle right there. Yeah, so here we go. That's fire, y'all. That's straight fire. If you don't believe me, go get the ingredients and whip it up. And so, you don't always have access to a crock pot. Maybe you don't own a crock pot. Maybe not always we had crock pots, but we'd have access to a microwave. So here is way number 2 to fry noodles in prison. So you take these noodles that are already crunched up, take the season pack out, pour the noodles in a bowl. Make sure they crunched up pretty good. If there's some chunks that not, just take your fingers and kind of crunch them up together. They don't have to be perfectly crunched up. Then what you do is take some tap water, pour the tap water in. Now you can drown these. You can drown these in tap water. I use my reverse osmosis right here. I'm on a well, so that water ain't that, it's good water, but it's got a lot of iron. So I got a lot of iron filters and water softeners and reverse osmosis rolling. So you just let these sit here and soak. You want them to draw up some water. While it's drawing up water, I'm gonna jump to another method. So again, we wanna smash our noodles up. I saved maybe the weirdest way for last. Bust the noodles up. Y'all know what this thing is, right? It's a popcorn bag. Popcorn been popped, but guess what's inside? You know how when you eat popcorn out of a bag and you dig in your hand in there and you pull it out, what you got on your hand? Butter. This bag still got plenty of butter in it. So here's what you do. Bust the noodles. Take the season pack out. You don't want to cook it in there. Throw the noodles in here. Butt naked. Just like that. Then you want to fold the bag over. And then check this out. You're going to be like, what? Microwave action, baby. Take this bad boy, kind of shake them so they get kind of flat. Put their microwave on whatever time, because we're going to periodically go in there and shake it up. Now, this is what's going to happen. The microwave is going to get them noodles hot. That butter going to get hot. That butter going to start kind of sizzling and cooking into them noodles, and it's going to kind of fry them. Just like we've already talked about. And as a matter of fact, I need to get another bowl so that I can do the next step in when it's done. And so you want to monitor this closely. And this is what you do. I put it for 5 minutes. Right now it's getting closing in on 30 seconds. Once it gets to 30 seconds, stop it. Take it out. You want to shake it. You want to actually let them cool off a little bit, because them noodles will get so hot, it'll catch this bag on fire. And that'll be fire, but that won't be good fire. So then we start it up again. While that's going, I'm gonna check on my noodles over here. They've soaked up a good amount of water so far. So what I'm gonna do is you wanna drain all this water off. And so I'm gonna try to multitask here and hope I don't burn nothing up. All right, I just drained the water. Now let me check this bad. About 30 seconds. These noodles gonna be hot. Let me take a little peek and see what's up. Oh yeah, you can see that butter, baby. And I can smell it. They getting right. Essentially what's happening is the crock pot slowly did the same thing of what this microwave is doing now. It's just getting these noodles hot. And when they get hot, they start turning brown. That butter's helping. A lot of guys will buy that squeezed butter and they squirt the squeezed butter in the crock pot just to get it buttery. I don't really care for that buttery taste like that. I like butter, but not the fried noodles, not on my fried noodles. So you want to keep shaking this up like this because you don't want them to burn. They starting to get a little brown. While that's happening, we got these noodles here, which we drained already. Now you want to take your season pack and use some of it. We call this a heart attack pack, because this stuff right here raise your blood pressure up, boy, and then you mess around and have a heart attack. Many people I remember having heart attacks and stuff in prison. They be out on the handball court, bop, bop, and all of a sudden they go like this, and then they go like this, and they fall out, man. Next thing you know, you see the little ambulance coming, the guards running, you hear the keys jingling, you stepping back, you don't know somebody trying to kill somebody, you don't know what's happening. Next thing you know, you see man getting carted off, and sometimes you'll see him back like in about a month. Sometimes that'd be the last time you saw them, because they didn't make it. So, gotta keep, okay, yeah, they getting brown, maybe about another 30 seconds. Because they getting close, some of them like they was burning. You want to mix this soup pack up in here. In case you didn't notice, I didn't put a soup pack in the microwave. I just didn't put it in there. You don't have to put it in here either. It just adds more flavor. And so I think this is about done right now. So yeah, I'm gonna push the pause button on this method and go back to this method because these babies ready. So you pour these noodles, pour the noodles in here, and they really, if you can see, they really nice golden brown. There's even a big piece that's kind of almost burnt a little bit. You gotta watch it, man, because this stuff will burn. And so that's ready. So now you go back, same way with the crock pot. How I poured the water in there, and then they kind of sizzled and was kind of cooking. That's the same thing I'm getting ready to do right here. Let me get my knife. You hear that? You maybe even see that steam coming off of them. So you wanna, I might have poured a little too much water on there. If you pour a little too much water, you can always pour a little bit off. You can always pour a little bit off. And guess what? Y'all ain't gonna believe this. This is actually my first time ever fried noodles in a popcorn bag. Now I done seen it done hundreds of times. I never did it myself because I don't necessarily like them. They don't taste as good to me. This is the quickest way to do it. You know, it also can mess a microwave up because there ain't no moisture in the microwave when you cooking in it. So if you end up liking this recipe and you use it, take you like a little bowl or something and put some water in it and set it in the corner of the microwave just so there's something in there that as the microwave is running, that there's moisture. Because dudes used to burn microwaves up. You have a whole line of people frying noodles in these bags, and next thing you know, a couple weeks later, the microwave is out. Because they done burned it up because there's no moisture or nothing in there. And I don't know if that's like somebody made that up or if that's true or not, but it seems like that would be the case. So as you get this mixed up like this, the same thing, you just add your ingredients. I'm not gonna add any more in here because I already put them in the other crock pot, but you put your peppers, your onions, all that stuff in here, put your meat in here, and then you put this in the microwave and you would just maybe a minute, 5 different times. So a minute, take it out, stir it real good. A minute, take it out, stir it real good. And after like 4 or 5 times like that, that meat will heat up good. A little bit of fat from the skin and stuff will start to like break down and add more flavor. The peppers and stuff will melt down. And then you can just go ahead and put your pickles, put your honey, put your chips and stuff on there like that. So that's the microwave popcorn bag. But you can see right here, like again, let's look at it. Look at the consistency of it. You know, it's kind of almost like rice, if you know how to cook rice and it's not all clumpy, but it's really like loose, you know, really good consistency. And it's a good taste too. You got to be careful with the popcorn bag method because you will burn stuff up. All right, now back to this. So we put our seasoning pack in here. We mix these noodles up a little bit. And so now we got to cook them with the microwave. So you want to open the microwave up, start it up. I don't really pay. I put a lot of time on there just so I don't have to keep adding time. What this is doing now is you've busted the noodles up, poured them in the bag, put some tap water on them, let them sit for 2 or 3 minutes till they soften up just a little bit, drain that water off as much as you can, and then put some seasoning pack on there if you want to, and don't put no other ingredients in there yet. You just want the noodles in there. What's happening is the water that the noodle has absorbed, the microwave is cooking that moisture out of the noodle, and it's gonna turn like the same consistency as these noodles here that was in the popcorn bag, and the same exact way that's in the crock pot. And when we get done, like with the first minute, what's gonna happen with these noodles, which is different than the other ones, they gonna start sticking together. They like to stick. That's why I like using the knife. Now I didn't have like this in prison. I could probably get $400-500 for this. Might even get $1,000 because you don't have to do much to it except sharpen it because it's already a knife. Very, very lethal weapon in prison, this butter knife right here. So we just had plastic knives. And so I take a plastic knife and you want to stir this. And what's happening now is these noodles are getting hot. That moisture from the water is cooking out and they want to stick together. What you want to do is you want to keep them. Now, the temperature in the room, which is cooler than the heat from this, is kind of making the noodles separate a little bit. It's helping with the cooking process that is opening them up so the steam can come off and the noodles won't be stuck all together. And the reason why I like using the knife, because sometimes when they kind of stick, you can kind of just run the knife through there and break them up. If you do a really good job of breaking the noodles up first, before you take them out the bag, that won't be that much of a problem. Or, you know, a lot of times if I'm whipping a meal up like this, I had a bowl about this big in prison and, you know, I put like 5 or 6 soups in here and pour like a gallon of water in there. And it would take about an hour or so to fry them noodles, man, because there's so much in there. But, you know, then a knife is instrumental too. The thing about the plastic knife is when you running it through them hot noodles, the knife starts getting wonky. You know, and that's why you can't use a spoon. You got to find a good, strong plastic knife. And sometimes we double the knife up. And when we get letters in the mail room will get the letters that people send us. They'll open them up. They'll go through the mail to make sure there's no contraband or gang literature, anything in there. And then they take a piece of Scotch tape just so the letter won't fall out the envelope. And then that we get that. Well, we slowly, methodically take that tape off and put it on our wall and save it. And so that's where we take like 2 spoons or 2 knives and we tape the handle together just so it wouldn't be sliding around in our hands, and then we'd be using it to cook. As a matter of fact, I had a really, really good knife and I moved out from my celly, and me and my celly made a meal one day together. We made a pot of beans and we was making some burritos, and you know, he was doing most of the cooking. And when I moved out, when I went to go cook, I didn't have my knife. Man, I went nuts. I had a great plastic knife. This thing was a gangster, boy. It didn't bend, it didn't break. I cooked I don't know how many hundreds of meals with it. I went looking all over the place, man, searching trash cans. And I said, man, let me ask my celly. I went upstairs. I said, man, you got my knife? He's like, I don't know, man, let me look. He brought his little tumbler cup out where, a lot of people keep their spoons and knives like in a plastic cup. He bring it out. He's like, is it in here? I'm like, man, that's my knife, man. Like, we done had conversations about this knife, about how dope it is. So I ain't saying he tried to keep it, but he definitely wasn't like, hey, Sally, man, don't forget your knife. And it's a good thing I just moved like downstairs and not out of the housing unit. I might never ever seen him again. And then I went and seen my knife. So you can see now these noodles are starting to soften up some and getting similar to that texture of the of the popcorn bag noodles and the crock pot noodles. So it's about a good consistency now, just like this. So they're not really sticking. You want to keep running your knife or spoon, whatever you use, fork through there to keep them from sticking. And at this point, this is when you add your ingredients, just like with the popcorn bag. Once you get the noodles the right consistency, you put all your ingredients in there that you want, and then you start going back in the microwave again because you want to cook down the jalapenos, the bell peppers, the onions. You kind of want to cook that down into the noodle some. A lot of times we'll also add a beef summer sausage, and that thing is full of grease. The good thing about grease is it's got good flavor. And so you chop up that beef sausage and you throw that in there and you cook that. And as it starts cooking and rendering that grease out, it starts soaking into the noodles. And that's where you start getting tons of flavor. And so you would just I'd put my chicken in here, put all my ingredients here. I put it in there for like about a minute, take it back out, stir it up because them noodles will try to stick back together again. And you want to make sure all the veggies and meat are evenly distributed and not just in one corner. Do that 3 or 4 times. Then you put your honey on there and then you throw your hot chips on there. So that's pretty much what it takes to fry noodles, or how we did it. You got a chance to see the crock pot way. You got a chance to see the microwave bag way, which is really unique. And you got a chance to just see doing it in the microwave in a bowl. And earlier I mentioned about these pickles, right? And the generosity that this sister Shirley had to want to send me those pickles. And it kind of got me thinking, is generosity really something that God wants to be a part of our lives? A lot of times we want God to be generous to us, right? And to give us gifts and to take care of us. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. But I think God wants us to be generous with other people. And that's what she demonstrated. So whether you make this meal and maybe you try to be generous with someone else, or maybe you make a better meal, your specialty meal, and maybe it's inviting a neighbor over to be generous to them. And there's a Bible verse I want to read in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 6, and it says 16, Hebrews 13, 16. It says, do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God. I'm going to read that one more time. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God. So we shouldn't neglect to do good, right? When we see a need, we should address that need, even if there's not a need. Like, for instance, the other day, my wife got the mail and I opened up this little card, and it was a gift card for $100 to a really nice restaurant. And it said, Lewis, it's time to take your wife out for a nice dinner. No return address, no signature who sent it, just anonymous, which, I would like to know, because I would like to thank that person. But I get it. Like, they're sowing their seed, anonymously so that they can be rewarded by God, right? And not getting their pat on the back or thank you from man, getting their reward here, which is another verse in the Bible that talks about that. But don't neglect to do good. Right? If there's someone in prison that sees this, don't neglect to do good. If you're a Christ follower, do not neglect to do good. It can do great things. It goes on to say, share what you have, right? I believe that God has given me everything I have, and it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to him, and I'm just a steward or a manager, if you will. Somebody to just say, hey, God, you gave me this stuff on loan. What do you want me to do with it? Some of it you want me to eat, clothe myself with, and partake in. But there's also much of it he wants me to extend out to others so that I could be an extension to other people, and that would be God blessing them through me. And it says, because these sacrifices that we make are pleasing to God. Shouldn't we do things pleasing to God? Do we love God? Do we really want to please him? Well, if we do, It comes with sharing what he's given to us with others. And so, man, I hope that you found some value in this today. I hope you've learned a new technique with ramen noodles again. I only got a couple more recipes left. Next recipe are calzones. Just learned how to make them last year when I was in prison visiting, teaching the Bible study, and I happened to be there for a banquet. My good friend that's in prison, that's never going home, who was on death row, he got his sentence commuted to life without parole. He's probably never getting out, and he has a cooking show in prison at Charleston, Missouri, at Southeast Correctional Center. He's got a cooking show that he does. And so I learned this last year when I was there before I taught my Bible study. They were doing the banquet and I learned how to make these calzones. They're really simple, but man, they fire. So stay tuned. Check that video out. Share this with other people. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to this channel because, man, I got some stuff that's going to be rolling out here in a few weeks that's fire. So, man, thank y'all so much for being here. Man, I hope the Lord continues to bless you and keep you, and that you will try to find it in your heart, if you don't already, to be generous and share with others. That's fire.